Dude, you are such a... He's on the air now!
Okay.
Oh, we figured it out!
Trials is back, and it's pretty insane.
There's no adept weapons.
When we knew that Trials was coming back, the most important thing from us was to do it right. And so that means it's taken us a little while.
With the reintroduction of Trials of Osiris, we are really taking a look at our whole sandbox and saying, like, okay, what is the right balance of things?
We want to make sure that we really stick the landing with Trials. It's important that this doesn't go out half-baked.
Now, I am no game developer. However, I have made one game, and it looks like this, which basically makes me even less qualified. However, I don't think it takes a game developer to realize what is wrong with Trials and the reward system right now. Namely, the gatekeeping that we are witnessing at basically the first few games of the card, which is the exact opposite intent of what Bungie wanted. This is a lot at fault of their reward structure.
The reward available for 3 wins, not 5, not 7, not even flawless, was the best shotgun in the game, the Astro Horizon. The best method is as follows: get to 3 wins to unlock the shotgun. Visit Saint 14 for repeatable bounties. Reset your card to avoid accidentally getting to 5 wins, and complete as many bounties as fast as possible. It is highly unlikely to obtain a competitive Astro Horizon roll naturally. I really need to drive this point home. Roughly, here's the odds: 2 out of 6 barrel, 3 out of 6 magazine, 1 out of 5 on the first perk, and any of 5 on the second perk, and any out of 4 on the masterwork.
For a game all about farming and going for the perfect roll on a weapon, it's really hard to see how this wouldn't be exploited, especially in the second week, and the fact that this was included as a design and not kind of vetted out through the fact that the Destiny community is the Destiny community and we like efficiency is beyond me, but this is how things took place. This mainly happened and does happen every week. The shotgun is available for a low win count or one of the better weapons. Mainly I've seen interest in the summoner and some of the armor pieces. The reason why it was so bad for quite a few weeks was because some people just unlocked the shotgun and nothing else, basically making their loot pool 100% in Saint 14 for that shotgun drop, because you can only get things that you've already gotten. So having that shotgun be at 3 wins, which is the bare minimum to actually turn in tokens, you will 100% get a shotgun every single time. This means that no matter how much you farm, if you got enough tokens and you just did not go up to 5 wins, you could just constantly spam tokens over and over and over and get the perfect roll of a shotgun, which sounds fun in theory. Farming for the shotgun is very bad for the actual player base, and it is causing a lot of gatekeeping unintentionally at that 3rd win level, because you get more tokens for winning than you do losing, which most activities do. However, this may not be the best interest for Trials if people are going to farm the shotgun like this. Farming for tokens in of itself is not terrible. The actual farming for tokens at those 3 wins and nothing else is just kind of polluting that bottom area of that card, basically preventing many teams from getting that high. Now, I have heard some people just throw the matches and they don't want to hurt the player base. That's fine, I guess. Those are easy matches that probably shouldn't even be happening in the first place if this token system was better. It's really frustrating to see that this is not exactly accounted for and wasn't accounted for, considering the reward system in Destiny 1 was actually pretty consistent and rewarded the lower skill players or just mid-skill players that couldn't go flawless just as much as the flawless people. The flawless people only got some extra cool adept weapons with different color schemes and some glows on their armor, while the lower skill and non-flawless players still got things, they just weren't flawless gear. And the determination between gear and flawless gear needs to be adjusted. There should not be a shared pool of just Trials gear. In Destiny 1, we had an Exiled set, which basically was earned randomly at the end of matches. That could still drop at high light, and that could actually reward healthfully. And despite maybe not going flawless, you would still get something of value. Though I guess you could argue for the weapons that is true. There are no unique flawless weapons. There are just those Trials weapons. There are no flawless armor pieces. There are just armor pieces with the occasional auto-applied glow for going flawless that week. In Destiny 1, we had glows that would stay on permanently as ornaments, and I believe that system honestly worked quite a lot better because that gear would be permanently augmented and changed into being flawless gear, and it was permanently known that your character had been flawless at one point or another within that expansion. Rise of Iron did this really well with those ornaments, and Destiny 1's Trials, we had the 2 separate suits entirely for flawless and just regular Trials gear, which very much fits the purpose of Trials. You got rewarded some, but not everything. And this is where the token system falls flat, because setting a floor requirement for 3 wins, some people aren't able to actually get those 3 wins, but end up sitting on hundreds and hundreds of tokens, and inevitably are not actually able to spend those hard-earned tokens. Even despite losing almost every single match, someone should at least be able to say, hey, I went into Trials this weekend, spent probably 4 hours losing straight, and I still got at least a scout rifle, at least a few shotguns, something. For the first time in this game, rewarding playtime is not a thing. Having played a few weeks of Trials on my own, I can absolutely say fun takes a backseat in this game mode. Now don't get me wrong, having a competitive spirit in this entire game mode is good. It is fun for a lot of people, but for the lower rungs of the player base, it gets old and they leave. This I almost experienced back in Destiny 1, however, there were rewards enough to entice me to keep coming back. This is lacking here, and because the matches are so sweaty at those lower levels, it gets very monotonous, and it seems very daunting and almost impossible to actually go flawless, or at least get 3 wins for some people. This is where my suggestion comes in. I believe that the first 2 or 3 games of Trials should be more so leaning towards connection-based matchmaking rather than skill-based or card-based. Currently, the latter half of the card is matching with other players, generally in the lower half of the card, not specifically on specific win numbers, like it is in the other half. That is helpful, however, you will still match against quite sweaty teams, and I believe connection-based matchmaking will randomize that skill level enough just for those first 2 levels, so that way it is rewarding enough if the reward system does not change. If it does, I believe this system may entice itself better, but I still believe some matchmaking elements should be tweaked in order to incentivize playing at least a few games on the lower end of the card for minimal rewards for the lower tier of players. Now, another possible fix for the reward system may actually just be letting tokens carry over to a few weeks in advance. Not forever, of course, but at least letting them carry for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. That way, you are able to at least have more of a chance to get those weapons or armor pieces if you do end up getting to those 3 wins in a different week. That way your time is not completely inept. There is at least some reward for you, despite not being the best. Now, with all those suggestions out of the way, I do want to mention these are just suggestions. I'm not claiming any of this to be the say-all be-all fix to everything. If you have any suggestions of your own, I would really like to see them in the comments as well. If you're wondering why I haven't talked about cheaters in this video yet, I already have an entire video dedicated to cheaters. If you want to see that, it is in the description or on the link in the screen now. But basically, cheaters are, of course, rampant in this game mode, and they are very frustrating to play against. Having seen quite a few myself, especially in comp as well, it is just demoralizing and really adds to this experience. This isn't necessarily in control of Bungie, but the anti-cheat is, and once again, the anti-cheat is basically not there. They claim to have one, I believe they quote-unquote do, but it is so minimal that it is basically nothing. Between cheaters, constantly sweaty matches, and also a reward system that just does not reward as much as it should, Trials does not exactly seem worth it to quite a bit of the player base. With many streamers leaving and thinking about leaving like Mtashed and Glad, it is quite hard to justify a lot of the changes that have been made to Trials that honestly should not have been changed in the first place, considering the entire game itself was working perfectly fine beforehand. Even Trials of the Nine did this quite a bit better, despite not being the best version of Trials. And truly, there never will be a best version, but we can only hope to find and get close enough to it that it will be a good experience for everyone. Now, pleasing everyone is not always possible, but I believe there is eventually a way we can get to it. Again, if you have any suggestions or comments of your own, leaving them down below is very much appreciated. If you liked or disliked this video, rating is also appreciated. Subscribing as well really does help support me. My channel's blown up a lot the past few weeks, and it's been really incredible seeing the numbers rise for the first time in basically forever. I really do appreciate that support, by the way. It's really mind-blowing. I really hope I can continue producing decent content for all of you guys. Other than that, support if you want to, of course not mandatory. I will, of course, be making more parts to this. I have a part planned to talk about Eververse, but past that, this is all for now. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you next time.